President-elect Trump expressing frustration with recent moves by President Biden in his final days in office, including Biden's ban on new oil offshore drilling in most federal waters.
And Peter Doocy is live in Washington with the latest for us. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, and it seems like this is really frustrating to the president-elect because there's nothing he can do about it until he gets into the Oval Office just after noon, 13 days from today. But what we're seeing is President Biden, the current president, throwing a bunch of legacy items at the wall to see what sticks. This time, he is trying to make oil drilling harder in ways that could be kind of complicated to unban.
So let's be clear here, the area President Biden is protecting has a relatively minimal fossil fuel potential in the areas and do not justify the environmental, public health, and economic risks that would come from new leasing drilling.
We've got a map of the areas that Biden is banning drilling, but these new bans may be super short-lived. In 2 weeks, President Trump will have two options. The first is to get Congress to act and change the law. And then the second is to issue his own executive order and then just wait for this all to play out in court. Some way, he says he's going to make it happen.
It's ridiculous. I'll unban it immediately. I will unban it. I have the right to unban it immediately. What's he doing? Why is he doing it? We have oil and gas at a level that nobody else has, and we're going to take advantage of it. And when I see somebody saying he's going to ban 625 million acres, he doesn't know what that is. He doesn't even know what 625 million acres would look like.
Something else the Biden White House is doing on the way out is emptying out Gitmo. 11 Yemeni prisoners are on their way to Oman to live freely. A lawyer for two of the detainees says they want to live their lives, they want to get married, they want to have kids, they want to get a job and have normal lives. And once this exchange is done, this release is done, there will be just 15 prisoners left in Guantanamo Bay. That is the fewest since they started using that as a military prison for terror suspects after 9/11.
I wonder how they're going to have their soccer games. They're going to be unbalanced now. It would be 7 on 8.
On a really fancy field, if you remember, yeah.
I wonder if the young people who died in 9/11 might have wanted those things too, might have wanted to get married and have a family and play soccer.
Peter, I know that, this flurry of repatriating these people back to Oman is in anticipation of, it sounds like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is about to enter a guilty plea. And then he would be transported somewhere, but there's a law that says that none of these guys can go onto U.S. soil. So do we have any idea where they might put that guy and then the other 14? Because obviously they want to close the place.
Not yet, and we don't really have a good idea of how they would keep track of these terrorists once they are released.
Yeah, good point.
Right. And something that we have seen that has been a huge problem, of course, is you can tell somebody that they're not supposed to enter the United States, but people do it by the thousands.
We've seen the numbers.
Especially in this administration.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
You know, I just wonder, like, after all these years, why these people still have breath? Why they're even a conversation? They should have had a legal process where these people could be tried, military tribunal, and executed for what they contributed to with 9/11. And the fact that they were bodyguards for Osama bin Laden. And I think it just goes to the fact, it's what I alluded to yesterday of Joe Biden. He's rejecting what the voters decided, which they didn't want any more of his type of administration. There's divided government right now. We have a new Congress that's controlled by Republicans when it comes to the Senate as well as the House. Instead of just leaving, respecting what the voters said, he wants to make it difficult for the next president when he comes in.
Well, one of the things about the people, and keep in mind, once upon a time at Gitmo, there were 780 detainees, and now, as Peter just said, they're down to the last 15. Most of them have never been charged with anything.
I know.
And most of them there is no connection to 9/11. So the problem is, as they try to repatriate, according to the administration, the problem is there are very few countries that want to take these guys and house them forever. Because keep in mind, most of them have spent their entire adult lives at Gitmo. And most of them, according to their lawyers, are suffering from significant mental health issues. Who's going to take those guys?
Yeah, well, they are linked to terror.
Right.
To 9/11, where he's fighting Afghanistan as well as Iraq and the region. And now in Yemen, we know it's a hotbed for terrorism. The Houthi rebels have established themselves. So they're going to Oman. We'll see what happens. Remember when we took those guys, we took the Afghanis, and we put them in a neighboring country? Barack Obama did. They end up going back
to the battlefield.
power. No, they went back to the battlefield.
Yeah.
And now they're in power in Kabul running Afghanistan. So they really learned their lesson.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.